Recording in progress.
Ready. Well, good evening and welcome to the Federal Way City Council meeting for April 21st of 2026. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. We've got a full agenda tonight. Great to see the place filling up, and thank you everybody for being here. So first, we have a very, very special award. The Association of Washington Cities Center for Quality Communities has issued a scholarship award to our Federal Way's own Claire Kim. And let's give her a big round of applause. And our council president, Susan Honda, will do the honors.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Claire to go to the podium. And I'm going to read a few things about you, and then at the end you'll have a chance to say something. Last year, the council voted to open the Association of Washington Cities Center for Quality Communities Student Scholarship up to seniors in the Federal Way School District, who also serve on the Youth Commission. This scholarship recognizes students who demonstrate a strong commitment to civic engagement, leadership, and improving their communities. It is awarded to individuals who show initiative in public service and a passion for making a positive local impact, and supports future leaders that are dedicated to strengthening the quality of life in Washington's cities and towns. We were fortunate enough to have 3 very impressive students submit their application for consideration, and Claire's application rose to the top of the stack. At this time, I'd like to invite Jake Pyatt and Brianna Bigelow to tell us a little bit about Claire and her work with the Youth Commission.
Thank you, Council President Honda. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Thank you all for this opportunity to kind of acknowledge the Youth Commission and our outstanding chair, Claire Kim, as well. It was a very interesting process to be involved here with the grading and judging of the applications. We see Claire and all of our commissioners only for an hour, once a month, really. So this application process really allowed for us to be able to see more into who Claire is as a person, as a student, again, with all the extracurriculars that Claire is engaged in, both with clubs in school, with sports in school, and obviously serving on the Youth Commission of Federal Way. Brianna and I have been very impressed with her ability to lead the commission, again, as chair this year, and being able to organize the fundraisers, the meetings, lead those with grace and dignity, and obviously getting recognized not only by the city, but the entire AWC community. So we couldn't be more proud of Claire, and are super happy for her to have this honor.
Brianna, did you want to say anything?
I think Jake had it covered really well, but I've loved working with you this year, Claire. It's been really great. Thank you.
So Claire, if you'd like to introduce your parents and then say a few words and then join us for a photo.
My parents are right there, Todd and Sue Kim. Of course, they have, I owe the biggest thanks to them for everything that they've done for me. They've supported me a lot in all of my college processes, and he encourages me to apply to scholarships every day, so I'm super glad to have been able to obtain this one and be able to go to college for a lower cost than anticipated. And of course, special thanks to everyone on the City Council for voting me to be the nominee for the AWC scholarship. And special thanks to Jake and Brianna as well for hosting all of the Youth Commission meetings and making sure that we get all of our work done while also having fun. And yeah.
So Claire will join the council in Spokane in June for the AWC annual conference, and we are looking forward to that. Her parents and she and her parents will be there, and she'll come up on stage, and we'll all get to celebrate her. So should we stand up?
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, thank you for doing the car wash over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what are your plans in the future? What is your college plans? Where are you going? What are you studying?
Yeah, so I'm planning on double majoring in economics and public policy at Stanford University.
Wow. Okay.
All right, so a photo. We're going to stay up here?
Yeah, why don't we stay here, and Claire and you guys are up in the front along with Claire's parents.
Yep.
Come on up,
Okay, Mom and Dad and Jake and Brant.
and we'll,
Susan's not hiding you too much less.
Are we centered?
yeah, I think so.
We're not.
Doesn't feel like it.
All right, congratulations again.
Congratulations.
See you in Spokane.
Thank you for coming.
I'll be there too.
Oh, good.
All right. Next, item B, we've got the Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month Proclamation. Council President Honda.
I don't know if we have anyone here that's going to be, oh, are you, okay, thank you. If you can go to the podium, that would be great. All right. Proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Whereas every 68 seconds, someone is sexually assaulted in the United States, and whereas sexual violence impacts everyone, especially Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, people living in poverty, LGBTQ+ people, elders, people with disabilities, and others who have been historically oppressed, and whereas sexual assault is among the most underreported crime for many reasons, and whereas ending sexual violence requires us to address racism, sexism, and all forms of oppression that contribute to the crime of sexual assault. And whereas survivors of sexual assault may never forget their victimization, but they can heal with support from family, friends, and their communities, including through sexual assault programs throughout King County and Washington State that offer free and confidential support, advocacy, information, and resources. Now therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council members of the city of Federal Way, Washington, do hereby proclaim April 2026 to be Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we encourage all residents to take action against sexual violence and stand with survivors. Signed this 21st day of April, 2026.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much. My name is Hira Singh Buller. I'm board member at King County Sexual Assault Resource Center. First of all, thank you very much for recognizing this month of Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. So first of all, to survivors, you're not alone. So sexual assault is, unfortunately, is very common. Almost half of the women, 1/3 the men in their lifetime, sometime they face this challenge. I think all in the room, we might know at least someone in our life who is impacted by this sexual assault. Sexual assault brings physical, mental issues, education, job, relationship, all kind of things. So King County Sexual Assault Resource Center is available with 24/7 confidential line. Last year alone, King County Sexual Assault Resource Center served 4,300 survivors for family members, and half of those were just kids and teenagers. So help is available. Please reach out. And thank you again, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for this proclamation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I add on this one too?
Of course.
Thank you very much for the last Saturday showing up at Khalsa Gurma Center to my different organization. Thank you.
It was our honor. Thank you. All right. At our last city council meeting, State Representative Christine Reeves provided an update for the most recent legislative session for 2026. Today, we are fortunate to have our state senator, Claire Wilson, and State Representative Jamila Taylor that'll provide an overview of their legislative session. And we really want to hear what it was like in that overnight session, so pretty historic. So thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
That is in fact who we are, right there, just in case. So we are here. Good evening. Welcome to, I guess, the second half of the legislative update. I know that Representative Reeves was here when Rep. Taylor and I were unable to join her, so we come as a wrap-up, and I'll talk a little bit about what was going on in the Senate, and I know Rep. Taylor will, again, talk a bit about what happened in the House. We hope to share with you what we were able to do for the City of Federal Way based on our legislative agendas that were shared, I think, in December when we got together, and also the benefits, I think, to many of the folks in Federal Way and in the 30th Legislative District with some of the wins that we're able to bring forward, although it was a pretty challenging session, and I'll just say that. So it was a short session. I think you heard that, 60 days. And I think what I'll share is from the Senate side and the Senate perspective. An example would be, as Chair of Human Services, all things basic needs, food, shelter, clothing are really important and were extremely important this session, especially as we looked at changes that were happening from the federal administration. And in that committee, 25 bills went through, but only 2 made it all the way through to the governor's desk. And part of that is because of the time it takes to move bills across the floor. And one of the things that you'll hear about is that 24-hour plus session and debate on the millionaire's tax. And as that occurs, what also happens is there are other bills that don't make it through and are unable to get through process. And so it's always a balancing act, and it's pretty strategic and sometimes pretty stressful. So budget was an issue, as you heard as well. And again, things like childcare, things like human services are all discretionary income. They're not entitlement. So when we look at short dollars and not a lot of money, those are oftentimes and most often the first things that are reduced or eliminated or are cut. And we also, again, had a lot of pressure thinking about changes from our federal administration related to SNAP, related to Medicaid, related to intellectual and developmental disability services and supports, all those things really important as we thought about what was happening federally, how we needed to continue to protect the people of the state of Washington. We also, continued to our work on critical incidents when we looked at what's happening with our public health crisis, with high synthetic opioid crisis that's going on, and also continue to make sure that we were providing access to reproductive health services and supports, as well as protecting our immigrant, refugee, and asylee communities and our LGBTQ communities, which are and were and have continued to be under attack in many different ways, not only from the federal administration, but from lots of things that are happening across states. So that's kind of a big overview of a tough session, all the while trying to figure out how we're going to move things forward.
And I'll just add a couple of clarifications or additions. It was really about protecting budgets that are critical services, such as crime victim services. The governor had proposed $12 million, which was, I think, a significant, more than 50% cut. In that particular budget, we were able to restore it to $20 million. We were doing hold and protect around the developmental disability community in terms of being able to protect the services that are there. We also had some challenges around 340B, which is a program where primary care hospitals and other service providers are able to buy discounted drugs, and they use the discount money that they have as part of that program to pay for services like transportation, healthcare, and other underfunded and underpaid programs and services in the hospital. So you imagine patients that come in and cannot afford their healthcare bill. Often that is falling on us. We are still addressing the impacts of HR 1. As you know, home and community-based services are optional. And so what can we do as a state to step up to support Washingtonians is pretty critical. And that also means we have to protect services and resources that we provide to cities who are serving our communities as well. And so thinking about how our budget at the state level has the flexibility it needs to respond to the needs in the community is important and critical. And as you remember, there was this historic flood that was in King County where the levees broke in our neighbor city in Pacific, and being able to respond to that emergency in this moment. Again, emergency funding, FEMA services have been cut and reduced at the federal level, and so we were actually surprised to receive FEMA support from the federal government. We did all that we could to get the maximum amount, and we were surprised to receive our allotment in response to the floods. That impacts all kinds of services in Federal Way, even if the flooding happened outside of Federal Way, as I'm learning that, folks who would have services in Pacific or Auburn were unable to get there, even though they are residents of Federal Way, and so that's pretty important. So we can keep going, or?
Millionaire. You want to do the millionaire?
Oh, you want me to rip the Band-Aid? The millionaire's tax. Yes, that was a historic piece of legislation, a three-part process. First part of the process in terms of addressing our upside-down regressive tax system was to pass a bill that would begin to provide progressive tax reform. And the second part of that is addressing the community being able to address this particular policy through initiative vote, and then of course the courts will also address this particular piece of policy that does not go into effect for a number of years, or where the monies will come into the households. And part of the work of the millionaire's tax, there were some opportunities that happened for community. As part of that work, we were able to expand the Working Families Tax Credit, so 460,000 additional Washingtonian families will be able to be served by the program. We had the largest small, that's funny to say that, largest small business tax break in state history, where businesses grossing under $300,000 will owe zero in B&O tax, and those under $600,000 will receive a reduction. There's going to be no sales tax on essential goods such as diapers, over-the-counter medications, hygiene products, and a significant number of other products. And when you think about when folks are, hunkering down and making ends meet and paying their basic needs, that sales tax reduction is important. I don't know. I haven't bought diapers lately, and not for my own children, but I cannot imagine folks who are spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on diapers and not wanting the benefit of a tax relief on that. There's a sales tax eliminated for key business services like IT training, technical support, security services, temporary staffing. Those have also impacted our school districts, and so we wanted to make sure that we restored the ability of folks to be able to do those kinds of services. There's been a B&O surcharge, exemptions on healthcare providers, hospitals, prescription drug sellers, and food companies. And this is ensuring that these costs aren't passed on to consumers. And of course, you've probably already heard that free school meals for 1.1 million students around Washington State is a part of this effort. And then, of course, the Fair Start for Kids investment, part of the resources from the millionaire's tax will support low-income families accessing high-quality childcare and early learning. As I think I heard from Councilmember Coach Mara, that there's a significant gap in the city in terms of in-home daycare providers. A bill I passed a couple of years ago actually made it banned the use of, HOAs were banning or prohibiting childcare providers, in-home childcare providers in the community. And so we passed a law that banned that practice of prohibiting in-home child care providers. So making sure that we allow folks who are interested to get in that work and provide in-home childcare know that they can now do that, and that HOAs are prohibited from not allowing them to do such things.
I will say that only 80 individuals are impacted by the millionaire's tax in the 30th Legislative District. So.
80, you said?
80. And I just want to make sure people understand that, because I know there's a lot of conversation about who's going to be impacted and who is. But when you look at the data, that's 0.38%, and or 0.22% of the total tax collected that will be collected. So in support of working families and in support of that, I do believe, and I think Rep. Taylor does too, that it is a good thing for our community and a good thing for families.
And in addition, we were able to establish a statewide low-income energy assistance program. I've heard from residents and neighbors in Federal Way who are very concerned about the increasing cost there. And so we're setting up a mechanism to be able to support folks in that, and our goal is to fund that in the near future. And then expanded access to customer-owned energy upgrades, and so that what would happen is the utility companies would front that and allow the individual or the family to pay it off over time so they can save money over the long term. And then we modernized and expanded property tax relief for seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities under House Bill 2621. And so the updating these eligibility thresholds hadn't kept pace with the rising cost of living. So we are addressing the direct needs, the kitchen table issues in our legislature, and we want to make sure that we are continuing to do that as we go back to Olympia, as we're facing very, very difficult conversations next year, because our budget is still under strain. I mean, and in terms of making sure that Washingtonians are protected. If you think about the national landscape, we are a state that has the ability to support our residents in ways that some other states, like Mississippi, Alabama, they're going to be having a very, very hard time adjusting to how the federal government is making states pay for more of their own resources. And we are one of the wonderful things that's happened in Washington State. We are essentially Silicon Valley North with a viewpoint of supporting community members in a healthy economy here.
So you asked us to do a few things, and that's what this list is. And so really briefly, the first one I want to talk about is the restrictions on sex offenders post-supervision. And I know Rep. Reeves talked about that briefly with House Bill 2533. There was a Senate bill that I also co-sponsored. That was a companion bill, and that was Senate Bill 5854. And that was related to the processes or the pathways for sex offender post-supervision. There were 3 different things that came up during session related to that. First one was the Kevin Coe issue, which brought this issue about where no one knew that he was being released until he was released. And his supervision came, and his release came without any conditions at all, because it went and it came through a court process and a court petition. Had it come through the least restrictive alternative, which is another way that sexually violent predators are housed, then Department of Corrections would have been involved, there would have been a public meeting and all those things. Then there was another bill we did, 1390, that was around the Community Protection Program. All those things caused a lot of stir. Neither of the bills moved. Part of it, I think, is because of the short session, the number of bills that went through, and the fact that he passed. But I think that there is still continued conversation on this particular, not the least restrictive alternative, but this issue where there is a court petition, and the court makes a determination that an individual can release without any kind of conditions. And so that will be a body of work that will continue. And during a long session, we may have a much more opportune time to have those conversations with DSHS as we think about our sexually violent predators and what that means for communities and notification. have to go
Speaking,
faster.
okay,
Yeah.
speaking of the courts, indigent defense continues to be a priority and a concern in Washington State. And so we're still looking at ways of addressing the Supreme Court's requirements for caseload standards. And so we're going to come back to the issue in terms of funding of indigent defense next year. Court unification is also something that's going to impact the city of Federal Way, as you all have a municipal court, and we want to streamline processes and help ensure that we can leverage opportunity that can reduce costs for the courts in terms of the administration of services. So we're just beginning that process, and I hope that in the next couple of years, we'll have full recommendations as we look at unification of processes, that there will still remain full independence of the judiciary in the various courts, but a unification of processes that will make it easier to access the courts. In terms of housing, as you all know, I'm champion of condo liability reform. We had the first two bills that address small condo endeavors, 12 units or less, stacked flats, et cetera, and we are still continuing the work because we want to address condo liability reform for the large projects and the endeavors where you have high-rise condo communities. And then, of course, affordable housing always is on the table as we are trying to address ensuring that all communities in Washington State have access to both affordable housing and market rate housing.
Childcare, we did have wins. We were able to, the governor's budget had a cut in Working Connections subsidy for individuals looking for childcare, and we were able to not have that cut. That would have cut 3,000 families off of Working Connection subsidy, as well as start a wait list. So neither of those things happened. We also were able to protect but not move forward any of the increases in subsidy rates for providers or the increase in eligibility for families. So those things were all put on hold. I was able to prime the bill for the Balmer Pre-K Promise, which was the $100.7 billion over the next 10 years for 10,000 additional children to be served through our state-funded pre-K program. Since its inception in '85, it's been a program of scarcity, and this will be the first time that centers and sites will be encouraged to increase their service for families. I'll remind Federal Way, you did partner with Imagine You to open up 3 family childcares in October, so that brought additional services to families. And then last week, the Early Learning Facilities Grants Awards came out, and 6 providers in Federal Way were awarded dollars, grants receiving, increasing access to an additional 85 families in the community. And those are grants for things like maybe railings, if you need a railing, going up and down stairways, so renovations and things that increase safety. We'll also say that our transition to kindergarten, which is a K-12 program through Federal Way Public Schools, went through a reduction, and they lost 8 slots for children, which doesn't seem like a lot, but every time you lose one, that child needs to find another place. So there is continued opportunity to apply for the ECAP slots, which I am assuming and assured that the Federal Way School District is doing. They also are doing professional development for early learning providers and childcare folks around the community, and that is a win. Human Services, I'll just say we were unable to get child welfare or juvenile justice bills through, again, because of the time on the floor, but I will say that related to child welfare, in particular with the opioid crisis, we were able to do budget provisos. So although we were not able to do anything with policy, we have additional CPS staffing, we have public health nurses, we've got beds for SUD treatment for moms and babies, the family resource centers were funded, the referral systems were funded, and the liaisons were placed in the court system for court liaisons as well as disability liaisons, all those things trying to help support services for families. And
Okay, So, on your wish list, which was very modest this year, we were able to secure, I was able to prime sponsor your Emergency Operations Center capital budget request. And I will say the trend for right now is operating requests are going to be harder to fill next year, but capital budget is one where we're able to make investments. So think about that as you're making your request going into 2027. As I think that there are some interesting projects that community members would love the city to be involved in, especially around Still Lake. Transportation, as you already know, years and years and years, the funding has been maintained for the 336, 344, 340th corridor, City Center Access Project. I continue to stay in close conversation with Chair Fye to ensure that we're protecting those resources, because what he was really concerned about is having folks ask for new projects that would push these existing projects out of the queue, and I was able to make sure that we were keeping our projects in the queue. Also in transportation, a new project that comes out of the CCA funding is free transportation for community and technical college students. This is born out of a request from Highline students last December saying they're struggling to get to and from the campuses. We have Highline College campus here in Federal Way, and then right up the 2 stops away at the main campus. And so thinking about how students can get access to schools, these are folks who are in transition. They have homes that are not centered around campus, and being able to do this where they have fewer options for scholarships and stuff. This is a one way to ease the burden on folks who are trying to change their life and increase their opportunities in their future. So we're excited about that project, and it's going to focus in on King County, and in particular South King County. And again, there were no specific Federal Way operating budget requests that we were able to secure this year.
Oops. And then, I gotta go backwards. How do I do this? I just want to show, we did get the budget, capital budget, so Health Point, budget for building modernization, Still Lake Affordable Housing, and that's with Mental Health Housing Foundation, Federal Way Children's Hospital Pediatric Outpatient Surgical Clinic, Health Point expanding the dental chairs, which will be really great, from 4 to 10 chairs, Junior Achievement, which is JA in the Biztown in Auburn, Algona Water System, and then a lot of work with the mayor in Pacific during the floods and after to make sure that we were getting those dollars and meeting the needs for infrastructure there. And that's probably more than you ever wanted to know, and that's it.
All right. Councilmember Hamilton, great presentation, thank you. Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Senator Wilson and Representative Taylor, for that report. It was very insightful. First, I just want to say thank you for securing the funding for our Emergency Operations Center. That was much needed. And then thank you, Representative Taylor, for the condominium reform. That's going to help us build more housing stock, and so we really appreciate that. And as well as protecting our transportation requests. I always like to say that transportation is the wheels of commerce, and so we need transportation improvements here in Federal Way. 2 questions for you, and it's kind of the same question as I asked Representative Reeves. The public defense, the indigent defense. We are thinking that's going to triple our cost. And so what are the next steps? Has the legislature been looking at this? And what can be done there?
My understanding is that there's still some litigation that's going on and still some challenges around the caseload standards, which is driving this cost. But also we have a challenge in recruiting folks into public defense. And so whether you have the money or not, you still might not have the individuals to provide the services. And so we have to look at the continuum of services, or continuum of the entire industry of public defense and public interest work. Prosecutors are in high demand, or they're having challenges recruiting and retaining their staff as well. So we have to look at the whole system as well. And so part of that will be part of the conversation of the interbranch committee, which looks at the judiciary and the court system, and including the public defense. So I don't have any specifics right now. This is going to be all in the context of protecting against massive cuts next year, because these cuts will come before the millionaire's tax. The millionaire's tax, there was, in terms of there were 81 amendments to that bill, okay? And one of them was to add indigent defense in that, and it didn't pass because we wanted to make sure that we had the flexibility outside of legislation to do more than what was going to be asked for in that particular line item amendment. So I think it's important that we, prioritize that and have the cities in particular, as through AWC, continue to push the state legislature. I feel like I'm sounding the alarm by myself at times around this particular issue. And so I'm happy to have your support in terms of that. So please make sure it's on your.
I am sounding the alarm with you, Representative Taylor, on that. In fact, we just passed the 0.1% councilmanic sales tax to help with
Yes.
public defender costs. And I always like to say, public defenders defend constitutional rights, so it's very important so that we don't have cases dismissed, just because we don't have public defenders.
And it was essential that from my support of that bill, if it didn't have public defense as part of the funding mechanism, then I couldn't support the bill. So I'm glad that you all are looking at how to support public defense and other public safety needs with that bill. And I'm happy to support and partner with you moving forward.
Okay, and then just one more question. I'm seeing a lot of news in the media about a line item that the governor vetoed that was meant to help combat organized retail theft. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Or?
The governor doesn't provide us insights into his vetoes ahead of time, so we're getting that information just as you are.
Okay.
And I've sponsored budget provisos around organized retail theft and trying to address that and combat that. So I was actually very surprised by that, and I will come back to the table to support some efforts to get that.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say also the whole issue, it is much like juvenile justice, that the majority of juvenile justice lives in cities and municipalities pre-adjudication. And so fighting for money for nonprofits and CBOs and intervention services and supports has been challenging, just as the conversation has been around looking at defense. So, those are things that are like in the middle, things that, we can work on and continue to work on together, because that also keeps kids out of the very system, which is also a goal, so that we don't need to have as many. But, it's one of those things where that it happens outside of the guise of the legislature. It happens in cities, and we've got to figure out how we do that support. So,
And certainly,
yeah.
I will follow up with you on
Yeah.
as much details as I can get from the governor's office around the reason for that veto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was important to me because I know that we're one of the top states in the nation for retail theft, and we want to fix that.
He
Absolutely.
vetoed that
Thank you
in
so
a
much.
family primetime reading program. Two things, very kind of interesting things to pull out of. So no clue why, just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you for your work.
All right, Councilmember Suffolk Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for being here and for all the work that you do on behalf of your constituents, and we really appreciate it. My question is around childcare. Actually, several things, so just hear me out. One is there's a lot of home daycare centers, and they need more kids in their daycare, but they don't have the capacity or the know-how to get the word out. So is there like a clearinghouse or somewhere where people could actually go and look at the zip code or whatever and start comparing childcare centers? And if not, is that something that could be done?
Childcare Aware Washington and also Institute, the Imagine Institute, both work with family childcare. They have the Childcare Aware is where families call, and any licensed childcare is in the system. They get all of that. I have some resources I was going to share. DCYF has a whole webpage on licensing, and then Childcare Aware as a whole thing. So they have a whole system, and any family child care provider that is part of that's part of the licensing system, and Early Achievers automatically is engaged and involved in all of those things that are part of being a licensed provider. And with those 3 providers that had that got their licenses through the partnership with the city, they did the ribbon cutting, and again, that's all advertised. So advertising, and sometimes people do it in papers, sometimes they do it on social media. So it depends on the person, and it depends on the program, but systemically, there are systems and there are portals involved that families know about and that providers know about. And if there are providers you're aware of that are not, please pass them along. I will also say Federal Way Public Schools is great, and Kim Erickson is their Director of Early Learning and is connected with all things childcare, not only here, but also what's happening with all the school districts around as well. But they're, most families get it from word of mouth or Child Care Aware as the resource.
Yeah, so are families aware of all these resources? Because if I was a new mom, I don't even know where I would go find that information.
People that are pregnant talk. And I'm serious, because it used to be when your baby was born, you looked for care. Now, the minute you're pregnant, people are starting to wonder and ask. And so there are, we have plenty of children. We don't have enough spaces for children, and we don't have enough adults in our classrooms for the children that need care. And that's been a body of work that's been going on, is how we get more spaces and why ECAP is so important and why the Balmer money is so important. But there are systems and there are places. Again, Child Care Aware is where most people start because they've got the resource, the 1-800 number. They've got social media. They've got Facebook page and all those things.
Parent
so-
Map, that magazine, Parent Map.
Yeah, Parent Mag. There's all kinds of places. But yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, in all different languages, I might add as well. Yeah.
All right, Council President Honda.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and for your work that you do for our city. The millionaire tax, there'll be a reduction in sales tax for diapers and other products. How is that going to impact our city? Do you know how much of a reduction we will face because we use sales tax in our budget?
I don't know how that, whether it's a reduction in the city sales tax, if that's on there, so I will follow
would
up
have
on
to
that.
check, yeah.
80 amendments, I'll get those details for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Moore.
I have to say, the 30th legislative district, we're really lucky to have 3 incredible women lobbying on our behalf at the Capitol and getting some stuff done. And I just want to say thank you for, Senator, thank you for the love and the care that you pour onto early learning and for all of us. Jamila, thank you for the work that you've done on everything you've done. Thank you. It's
I
kind
know
of.
I'm all over the place.
I mean, it's impressive, and we're truly lucky to have you being in that seat. And so I liked how you said, you guys worked on kitchen table issues. I think that's a really good way to illustrate the challenges that people are facing, especially with the federal government, and making things a little bit more challenging. And so I just love the fact that you guys have worked really hard to mitigate those challenges, because I know as one council member, and I'm constantly thinking, we're all thinking about our residents, and I know that when the government shut down, I was thinking, gosh, that there's going to be a lot of people impacted, and Federal Way has done a great job in with food insecurities and whatnot. But that couldn't be possible without the partnership with you guys as well. So I just wanted to kind of give some gratitude and say thank you. Keep on doing the good fight, as we say, to have good trouble. I think that's really important. And I appreciate you guys, so thank you.
And I thank you for the gratitude, and I recognize that even with that gratitude, there are people who are still suffering and still frustrated. We get constituent requests around unemployment, access to health care, access to other resources in our community. And so we recognize that the struggle is ongoing and probably life-changing for a lot of our residents here. And working in partnership with the city is absolutely essential to ensure that the residents of the 30th district, the businesses of the 30th district could still strive, and knowing that, like, for example, working with the two Jacks, I call them, on the condo project, converting church properties for condo construction is a great opportunity to bring more folks here who want to own properties in our area.
Yeah.
And then there's some, again, updating the regulations on permitting and seeing how Federal Way is leading the way. Some of our other sister cities in the state aren't doing what you're doing. And so I think you should be applauded as well. Also recognizing that there are still folks suffering and very frustrated with things that are happening that are even beyond our control in the state.
Well, and I know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this, but I know you're a huge champion for people with disabilities. And your editorial on that you had, and part of your why, in terms of why you voted for the millionaire's tax, I think is really commendable, and I appreciate that, because I think oftentimes vulnerable populations get left behind, get forgotten, or pushed to the side. Maybe unintentionally, but the fact that you continue to be an advocate for that, I think is huge. And I say that because you know very well that I worked for the Arca King County, and that your predecessor, Roger Freeman, was a huge advocate for people with disabilities in terms of becoming parents. And so I really want to say thank you. Thank you for speaking the truth, and thank you for voting your conscience on that. I know it's not an easy vote, but I truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you.
And just to answer Mayor Farrell's question, 24 hours is a long time. I was only off the floor for an hour and a half of that time. And that was when I was forced to go to sleep. I was literally forced to go to sleep. And so, this is an important piece of legislation, and we went all the way through the whole process, had the debate, and heard each other as we were going through. There's going to be some adjustments going along the way. There are going to be new opportunities moving forward. And so having the flexibility with our budget to address the needs as our country, as our state, as our cities are facing these challenges, that is essential in terms of doing this partnership.
Councilmember, thank you. Councilmember Kochmar?
Well, thank you very much for being here this evening and for addressing my concerns about childcare for in our city. One of the issues with the millionaire's tax, of course, the other end of the spectrum is that's going to become a tax on everyone. And so I would ask that I know that that's probably going to go through the court system, but I would ask that you keep an open mind that there are people that is going to be affecting, not just the people that you think can afford it, but also the people that can't afford it. And that's the other half of the argument. Mm-hmm. But right now, I just want to talk about the fact that the legislature passed the legislation to allow for more housing more density in our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And what that's going to do when you have a single family lot and you allow more housing on that normal size lot, that there's other issues involved, such as parking.
Yes.
And so you need to address that. The legislature just can't do an overall, because one size fits all for the state doesn't really help in our community. We need to talk about.
And I think we have flexibility there, and I also recognize that the City of Federal Way has been encouraging detached ADUs, and so that increases density in communities as well. So I want to work with you. I think all three of us want to work with you in terms of finding the right balance, and that's why we have ongoing debates, and we do ongoing stakeholdering. Some ideas that come through the legislature don't make it all the way to the governor's desk, and this is not for me to go have fanfare to say I held my colleagues accountable. No, I'm just getting it done. I'm making sure that we're working with our community to have our voice heard. And so it's not about like impugning my colleagues, it's about making sure we have good policy. As you know, most of my bills and most of my efforts are bipartisan. And so having these conversations in a civil manner is really critical.
Thank you, Representative, but would you please work with our staff? We spend a lot of time on zoning in our neighborhoods, and then some of that's been overturned by what happened in the legislature. I'm not saying you in particular, I'm saying that the legislature as a whole.
I'll
And the
coordinate with
state
Mayor
as a
Farrell. Yes.
whole.
Yeah.
But if you would simply work with our staff to try to understand what we've done with zoning in our neighborhoods, it's very important to some of our single-family homes that aren't in an HOA. It's going to be affecting them, but thank you very much.
All right, well, thank Senator Wilson and Representative Taylor, thank you. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you for not making me do this for 24 hours today.
Exactly. All right, thank you very much. Okay, before I go any further, we have two elected officials in the room that I just want to recognize. We have Carolyn Vidino, our South King Fire Commissioner. Welcome, Commissioner, as well as Len England, our Lake Haven Water Commissioner. Let's give them a round of applause for the service they do. Thank you. Okay, with that, it's time for the mayor's emerging issues and report. And let's see here. That's that right there is. Oh, can you go back a step? That is Dougie Fur, the newly they had just gotten. The Parks Department had just received our new mascot the day before that picture was taken. That is Dougie Fur, which is the mascot for our Parks Department, and that's over there by the Steel Lake Annex when we were working. Well, more on that later. And let's next picture. Okay, there's Dougie Fur with 4 members of the City Council and Shelley Pauls, volunteer extraordinaire at Parks Appreciations Day. We had 3 locations that we were well over 100 volunteers in our community were working on. We started off at Brook Lake and the Blueberry Fields, a lot of work done there. Then we went to Then we went to Celebration Park, and some volunteers were there doing some important work. And then we went to Steel Lake, and they had us doing a couple of things, but mainly just there to appreciate and thank the volunteers of our community who did so much to help our parks. All right, next. Okay, we had the community clothing swap on April 11th, 2026. There's Amanda, who does such great work there at the Tool Library and all things community-driven. And then, as referenced earlier in the meeting, we had the Vasaki Sikh community celebration on April 11th, 2026 and gosh, there were at least 5,000 people there, don't you think? There were thousands of people there.
Here is at 5,000.
Yeah, yeah. And, really one of the seminal celebrations of the Sikh faith, and absolutely fantastic. Great food, great company. It was so crowded over there, and their center is over there on the southeast corner of the Weyerhaeuser property in that area. They had a parade, and like I said, a lot of, did I mention the food? Anyway, it was fun. All right, next. We had a document shredding event at Red Canoe on April 16th. Appreciate our partners at Red Canoe. And on April 18th, last Saturday, we had the Youth Commission Car Wash. And Bill and I were in one car, and Susan and her husband were in another car, and Councilmember Hamilton. Oh, that's right. That's right. Councilmember Hamilton in the act right there getting her car washed. So great, that's over at the community center, and we've got a great group of young people that are serving our youth commission. All right, next. Okay, upcoming community events. We've got the Mending Fair on April 25th, and that's going to be over at the regional library. We've got a city town hall meeting, and that's on April 30th at Olympic View Elementary School at 6 p.m. Doors will open at about 5:30. Would love to have everybody there, and we're going to have a presentation. I'll say a few words. The council president will say a few words. A presentation from the police chief, and upcoming localized a a presentation about localized public works projects, and then the most important things to hear from the public. As well as, I think we're going to go over, one of the things that the chief is going to go over is the Keep Washington Working Act, as we promised during a previous session. Then we've got the I'm Hooked on Family Fishing event, and that's on Saturday, May 2nd. That's a great event. If you've got a young one in the home, just get out there and they'll give you the pole and they'll get you out there. And it's just really, I remember taking our son year after year to that very special event. Really fun. And some great professionals out there that really help every kid get a fish. Okay, next. Okay, then we've got the Federal Way Farmers Market grand opening on Saturday, May 9th. We always have the opening of the farmers market the Saturday before Mother's Day, so we can get our flowers. And this is at the new location, which is going to be instead of behind the Commons where it was, it'll be at that new location just north, the street just north of Town Square Park, and just south of where the Performing Arts and Event Center. We bought those bullards where we could block off traffic, and we've been working on this for, gosh, well over a year. And really a big thanks to the Parks Department for all of their work getting that started. Big thanks to Bill Vadino, everybody who made that happen last year, where we got the handoff successfully to run the Federal Way Farmers Market. So come one, come all, May 9th for the opening of the Farmers Market. Then we've got the Senior Health and Resource Fair at the Performing Arts and Event Center on May 12th. Susan, what time does that start?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. 10 to when?
10 to 1.
10 to 1. And that's again over at the Performing Arts and Event Center. And then we've got a food preservation workshop on May 13th. And could you tell us the details of that food preservation?
Yeah, it's at the community center at 5 p.m.
5 p.m. All right, next. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff going on. As you can tell, the spring is a busy time in our community. We've got really one of the great community events, again, with young people and sometimes a little bit, older as well. Touch a Truck. This is on May 16th, Saturday, absolutely free to the public. And they've got, for kids, they've got police cars, fire engines, dump trucks, school buses, emergency, a SWAT vehicle, all kinds of great events. And that's actually over there in the Wild Waves parking lot. And then we've got Kicking It Federal Way. That is June 19th through the 21st. And that's going to be over at the Performing Arts and Event Center for the FIFA World Cup. And we are in the process right now of clearing that area and making sure that we're going to put some field turf down there. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be all kinds of activities. It's really going to be a lot of fun, really bringing the World Cup to Federal Way. And then we've got the Friendship Theater production of Frozen Jr. at Knutson Family Theater on June 18th through the 21st. And that's always a fun thing. So, and thank you to the folks at Knutson Family Theater. Next. Is that it? Oh, gosh. On July 4th, we've got the Miles for Miso 5K walk and run. That's on July 4th in the morning. And I believe that starts at 9?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. And they've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for mesothelioma. And really a great run, great time to get together. Again, our park staff is busy. Then we've got the Red, White, and Blues Festival, July 4th. And that starts probably about 4 o'clock, fireworks about 10:15. And John and I have been working on the soundtrack, so we hope we do it right, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And for those who know me, I've been asking people for recommendations for fireworks songs, so it should be fun. All right, next. That's it. Okay, now we are on to council committee reports. And we've got Councilmember Walsh with Land Use and Transportation.
All right, thank you, Mayor. First off, we on our last meeting, we had great discussions on things that are now on the consent agenda, items C, D, and D, and also later on the agenda, item 8A, the forest practices application. A good discussion of that, and also a great briefing on potential parking reform code amendments. That's basically what came out of the meeting. I'm going to take the liberty and say a couple of other things since the comment for the council members is clear at the end and everybody's gone then anyway. So anyway, except for Doug. But I would also like to express my appreciation for those who came out with the Parks Appreciation event. There was the 20th anniversary of the Parks Appreciation event. There's been thousands, tens of thousands of hours of community service over the years from that. And the Parks Department does a fantastic job. Kudos to John, to Jason, to Tony, to George, to everybody else on the park staff. Special kudos to, as the mayor mentioned, to Shelley Paul's, what'd you say, volunteer extraordinaire,
Absolutely.
was it? So, I mean,
Yeah.
she's incredible and done amazing things at the Blueberry Farm Park.
And her husband Dwight.
And her husband Dwight, yes. It got there, the Brook Lake Blueberry Farm, and one of the first ones there, and Dwight was already out there
Yeah, he was already working. He was
he was already working, and he's absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. Much of the council got there to Blueberry Farm, Brook Lake Blueberry Farm Park, and for the opening as it was starting there, and then we went over to Celebration Park, and then on to the Steel Lake Park, and then I came back to Blueberry Farm to actually do some work, and I found Councilmember Les Sessoms there working away hard. And so while the rest of us were out getting pictures taken, he was hard at work. And so I joined him there, and we spent a good hour and a half together planting lots of lupine. And so we should have some beautiful lupine fields later on. And also kudos to
What used to grow at Weyerhaeuser?
Uh-huh.
Beautiful flowers.
the kind of bluebonnets are a type of lupine, and so it'll be absolutely beautiful.
Okay.
So hopefully, sometimes it takes a second year for them to really get good blooms, but hopefully I'll have some good blooms this year, and a great place to go and get pictures. The blueberries will be on first, and then, well, they may be about the same time as the blueberries, the blossoms. So anyway, also kudos to Councilmember Asefa Dawson. She was there helping get people signed in and at the sign-in table, and anyway. Also, one thing that the mayor did not mention was this morning, the Federal Way School District and our Public Works, Public Works, it was the Storming the Sound with Salmon event. And fourth graders from all over the school district were right there at Brook Lake Park releasing salmon, and the kids got to name their salmon before they put it down the chute. And I gave them a hard time. I mean, none of them, I mean, they were giving them names like George and Bill and stuff like that, and I was saying, why aren't you giving them names like sushi and things like that? But I mean, I don't think it went over very well with the kids, but anyway. So, but it was a great event, an annual event that's always lots of fun. And so with that is my report plus.
Very good. All right, thank you. Councilmember Sessoms.
Thank you, Councilmember Walsh. I appreciate that shout out. I want to give a shout out to all of the volunteers that I did see at the Blueberry Farm as well. That was a great event. Thank you very much to the park staff who led that effort. So the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, Public Safety Committee met on April 14th. Our next meeting will be on May 12th, 5 p.m. Everyone will be invited. So among other things, we took action on several items. We had a flag policy overview, and there will be a next step for that. Tonight, we're going to address the following items. They're all on the council's meeting agenda. Items F, G, H, I, J, K, and L. Also, we will be having discussions on 3 public hearings. The 2025 CAPER report and the 2019 and 2024 CDBG action plans. And hopefully everyone can stick around for those lively discussions. And then finally, the committee also moved to forward a proposed first reading that you will hear more about tonight. It's a new ordinance pertaining to the massage businesses around Federal Way. So hopefully everyone can stick around, and again, thank you very much for your participation tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Kochmar.
Thank you, Mayor. So our next FEDERAC meeting, our next Finance Economic Development Regional Affairs Committee meeting will be April 28th at 5 p.m. in City Hall. And Councilmember Walsh, I don't know if you saw this joke on Facebook where Parks Ranger came along, a guy who was fishing at a pond, and bucket was full of fish, and the park ranger said, "You're not supposed to be catching the fish." And the guy said, "Well, this is catch and release. He's going to throw the fish back in the pond, and when he calls them, they come back." And so the park ranger says, "Yeah, I want to see that." So he throws them back in the pond, and then the park ranger said, "Well, when are they coming back?" And he said, "What fish?" I thought it was funny.
Ba-dum-bum. All right. Very good. She'll be here all week. All right. All right. Councilmember Sefa Dawson.
That's a joke. Okay.
Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Yes, so the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee met last week, I believe, where we discussed all the grant, the TEG grant applications and reviewed, and we have, the committee has come up with a recommendation to FEDRAC, and funding recommendation to FEDRAC, which then should come to council for approval. So that's what we did at LTAC. Can I talk about PIC or no?
Sure.
Oh, okay. And we had PIC meeting for SCA on April 8th, where Councilmember Les Sessoms was in attendance also, so thank you for being there. And I hope you were not overwhelmed by all that happened. But some of key takeaways for that day, one was we had talked about it here before, the King County Transportation District, 1% tax increase, or what they're proposing, and it is bound to be voted to happen. However, they're also considering the city pass-through for all cities to get funding. How much and what the formula is going to look like, they're still discussing, and so it seems like they're going to vote in May on that one. Another noteworthy conversation is the proposed sewer rate. That is, it's going to be it's proposed to increase by 12.75% monthly, monthly sewer rate increase, which raises the current monthly rate of $62.66 on an average to $70, and it continues to increase all the way. By 2042, it's expected to triple. So there's SCA is going to send a letter in to talk about that, but also more importantly, they're trying to organize a briefing on this for council members and electeds, because this is an issue maybe people were not paying attention to, and now it's coming down the pipeline, so we need to really be open to it or understand it better. And then they talked a lot about engaging state representatives, which we did today, so I think we're better ways on top of that. And then, what else is there? Oh, and then there's a Sound Transit Enterprise Initiative where there's going to be continued discussion about that. And then there's a work plan also that is up for discussion. So if there's anything you would like to add, Mayor Council member, okay. And lastly, I worked with Jeffrey Tancredi at the signing during the, and so that was fun. We got to talk. And then one thing that I was really impressed with was with the IDEPI, the young students who were highly present at the annex here, and they were all working hard, and that was the one place where I saw a lot of youth engagement. And so just wanted to shout out for the organizers who brought those kids to do that work, because they were there bright and early and working hard. So just wanted to shout out for them. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Council President Honda.
Thank you. So between yesterday and today, I have spent 7 hours learning about FIFA. Yesterday was 4 hours, and the Chamber of Commerce and the Federal Way Arts Association had sponsored a workshop for those interested in how their businesses could interact with FIFA. The city was well represented. 700,000 visitors are expected to come to this area for FIFA, and 30,000 here in the city of Federal Way. So anyway, it was very interesting. Today's focus was on transportation. And we met the Regional Transportation Committee, of which I'm a member, and the King County Council Tree Committee. I had a combined meeting, and we discussed for several hours transportation issues concerning FIFA. It sounds like everything's well planned. Hopefully everything goes well, and we have a lot of happy visitors, and we have a lot of happy people who live here because they can still get around and do the things that they need to do. So Federal Way, for FIFA, we are sponsoring a youth contest, art contest, called Rep Your Flag. And we are inviting students K through 12 to participate in a creative flag art contest. Students will select a World Cup participating country, submit an original artistic interpretation of that country's flag. And anyway, we are still looking for several more students to create their flags. And every Wednesday there's a workshop. If you're interested, you can let us know, and we can get you in touch with how you become involved with that. The skateboard, which is the South County Area Transportation Board, is also writing a letter to the Sound Transit Board. We are concerned that there are several projects in the south end that the ST3 funding tax that we all voted for, or some people voted for, may be cut in the south end from Renton all the way down to Tacoma. And so we are getting together tomorrow to write a letter to add it to the other cities that are writing letters to Sound Transit Board to encourage them not to cut our projects in the south end. I attended the exit conference for the cybersecurity audit that was done, and I'd like to thank the state for doing that audit. They did it for free for the city. And I'd also like to say that our IT department does an excellent job, and I think we are very, very lucky that we have those professionals working for us to keep the city operating. And my last comment is on the Health and Resource Fair. So the Senior Advisory Commission is hosting their 4th annual Senior Health and Resource Fair. It's at the Federal Way Performing Arts and Event Center on Tuesday, May 12th from 10 to 1. This year we have 85 vendors, and they serve the Federal Way senior population. This Senior Advisory Commission will be introducing the 2026 Senior Resource Guide right off the press at that event. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the City of Federal Way, Vicki Chenoweth, St. Francis Hospital, Steel Lake Presbyterian Church, Fed Ilta Home Care, Fusion, Home Instead, and the Federal Way Mirror. And we do hope that you'll enjoy us for this event. It's a free event, and even if you're not quite a senior, we know one day you will be, or you know a senior. There are so many resources that you can connect with at this event, and I would encourage you all to go. Even if you only have an hour, please come and see, get information so that you can plan for the future. Or if you're a senior now, maybe you can find something that will help you. So I hope to see all of you on Tuesday, May 12th at the PAC from 10 to 1. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now for the most important part of the meeting, to hear from you, the public. If you want to, I've already received some public comment sheets. If you'd like to make a public comment, please fill one out and provide it to the city clerk. When I call your name, please come to the podium. I'll try to call several so you could sort of queue toward the back. And the lights mean green, you've got 3 minutes. Green means go. Yellow means you've got 30 seconds. Red means please stop. We all know the rules. And there's, I believe, if you're here on behalf of 5 people that are present, then you get 5 minutes. So we've got Commissioner Len England. Then after that, George Vedino, Jeffrey Tancredi, Mike Belich Ziegler.
Good morning, or good afternoon, evening, council members and mayor. My name is Len England, and I lived in the potential annexation area for about 67 years or so, just a little bit longer than Harold Booker. Anyway, and Harold's been a dear friend of mine for a long, long time, most of that time. In full disclosure, I am the president of Lake Haven Water and Sewer District this session. I am speaking on my behalf as a citizen, not as Lake Haven, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about Lake Haven after my time's up. There's an apparent effort to annex the Lakeland North, Lakeland South unincorporated areas into the city of Federal Way without seeking a vote of the people. Who or what entity initiated this is somewhat unclear, although I think we got a little bit more information tonight. Regardless, my message to you is to tread lightly and communicate. I am keeping an open mind about annexation. However, history tells us that these areas voted no on annexation, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So it's not necessarily a fait accompli. So again, communicate. Has climate changed for annexation? I don't know. But I don't think anybody is beating down the doors to City Hall to petition for annexation. So a big word to the wise. Do not simply impose your will upon the citizens. They will fight back. Were I deliberating, I would be doing exactly what Brian had mentioned, communicate and do the studies, et cetera, et cetera. With respect to the meeting, you didn't really give him a nod on whether you want him to go forward. I think you should give him the nod to go forward with the study. I mean, $75,000, as long as it isn't just an overlay of the county's plan. I only got 30 seconds. Okay, changing subject a little bit, comment on the April 4th meeting. And I see that you are taking Mr. Booker's comments a few weeks ago to heart, which is good. I see the city council is wanting to do guiding principles. The one thing that popped out to me was the OPMA and respecting the OPMA. Please do that. Don't have illegal meetings or other types of meetings that could be considered illegal. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Len.
Did you want me to answer some of those questions on the?
Perhaps later. Maybe you could email Brian, and we'll make sure we share that with the full council.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. All right, George Vedino, speaking on behalf of commissioners that are here for the Parks Commission. So for 5 minutes, please.
Mayor Farrell, Council President Honda, council members, I'm George Vedino, and I'm chair of the City of Federal Way Parks and Recreation Commission. I'm here with Parks Commission Vice Chair Karen Brigado, who is also chair of the commission's subcommittee that took the lead in considering the topic of the letter that I'm about to read. We also have Commissioner Wendy Morton and Jeff Tancredi as well. The Parks Commission voted unanimously in support of the letter that I'm about to read, and Vice Chair Brigado has already sent copies of it to the council. Honorable council members, we are very fortunate to live in the vibrant and growing community of Federal Way. The diversity in age, race, ethnicity, and religions is truly an asset for our overall community, as well as we embrace the future while also honoring the traditions and customs of our constituent populations. The month of December is traditionally a time of celebration and reflection for many cultures and religions. Examples include Christians and those that associate with Christianity celebrate the birth of Jesus at Christmas. Jews observe the Festival of Lights, known as Hanukkah. Buddhists honor Bodhi as an achievement of enlightenment. Muslims observe Ashura. African Americans celebrate Kwanzaa to honor family, community, and culture. Naturalists celebrate solstice and science through natural spirituality. Municipalities throughout Western Washington have a history of allowing communications, displays of learning, and expressions of ideas about many seasonal icons on public property. In Federal Way, the lone seasonal display on city property has been the holiday tree and lighting ceremony in Town Square Park. In 2023, Michael Camp-Smith, the chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission, came before you to request holiday displays on public property. This request was not acted upon. We asked the City Council, with the January 2026 Religious Freedom Proclamation in mind, to reapproach this request. Publicly honoring the unique cultures and populations in Federal Way demonstrates the City Council's commitment to diversity and inclusivity. The Parks and Recreation Commissioners are fully supportive of appropriate holiday, educational displays of religious cultural symbols on city property. All costs for such displays would be encumbered by the approved organizations. No city funds would be used for any aspect of an approved display. We respectfully request that the City Council consider future educational displays of appropriate holiday symbols and icons. For City Council members who wish to explore further, we can provide the Department of Defense's listing of religions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Jeffrey Tancredi.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening, everyone. Council President Honda. Jeff Tancredi, I'm speaking as a private citizen, continuing the American history series that I've talked about. My source is Dr. Carol Swain, a professor at Vanderbilt University. After President Lincoln was assassinated, Vice President Andrew Johnson, a Democrat, assumed the presidency. Andrew Johnson and the Democrats were adamantly opposed to Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democrats were united in their opposition to the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendments to the Constitution. All three of these amendments were passed because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. After Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property and run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this enforced? By terror. Much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. The Ku Klux Klan, in effect, was a military force serving the interest of the Democrat Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Ku Klux Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House, a racist film, The Birth of a Nation, which depicts African Americans in a horrible light. Later on in the 1960s, the only serious congressional opposition to the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 came from the Democrat Party. 80% of the Republicans supported the bill. Less than 70% of Democrats supported the Civil Rights Bill. Democrat senators filibustered the bill for 75 days until Republicans came up with the necessary votes to get it to be before President Johnson's to sign it. The next time that we discuss the American History series, I will discuss the myths surrounding the party switching that did not exist, and I will lay out all the details of the fact that that was a myth. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, Mike Bullich Ziegler, and as Mike makes his way up to the podium, our next speakers after that will be Paul McDaniel, Betty Taylor, and Harold Booker. Mike?
Good evening, Council, Mayor Farrell. My name is Mike Bullock Ziegler. I'm a resident here in Federal Way. I wanted to take an opportunity to respond to the presentation last meeting about the 19th Avenue Southwest and Southwest Campus Drive intersection. I appreciate the city taking time to do a deeper dive into the intersection, and I wanted to follow up and push back on a few of the points that were raised. It was mentioned that the collisions did not correspond with the school and start and stop times, which is not the case. 2 of the 3 recent collisions in the last 6 months did correspond with school arrival time around 7 a.m., and the students were walking towards Taft-Sahali. Also during the presentation, one of the recent collisions were reviewed where the child entered the intersection against the light, and I agree there really isn't anything a driver can do to avoid that, and I'm glad that they're okay. What was left out of the discussion were the 2 other collisions I mentioned where the children did enter the intersection at the crosswalk with the walk sign before they were struck. A lot of time was spent discussing pedestrians being at fault. Instead of discussing, focusing discussions on culpability between drivers and pedestrians, I'd like to see the city focus on its responsibility to have street designs that reduce these possible conflict points and the chance for serious injury or death, regardless of who is at fault. The Traffic Safety Action Plan was a step in that direction. It was encouraging to see so many groups in the area participate in what I heard was the city's first ever road safety audit along 21st Avenue Southwest and Southwest Campus and the surrounding area last week. I appreciated the opportunity to participate, and numerous safety improvements for drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists were identified, ranging from small to significant changes. I agree it doesn't make sense to react to every collision with different engineering changes, but hearing that the 19th Avenue Southwest and Southwest Campus intersection ranks 50th or 107th worst in the city, and the pedestrian collisions are not out of character is not reassuring. It should elicit a reaction from everyone that there is a lot of work to do. I expect the mayor and the city staff to react by prioritizing higher investments in safety improvements to make it easier to walk and roll in the city in the upcoming budget. And I also expect that the city council reacts with similar budget priorities and by questioning transportation projects that come up for approval on how the city is prioritizing the safety for all street users and not just talk about parking concerns. I look forward to seeing the final traffic safety action plan when it's shared. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Paul McDaniel.
Good evening. Paul, son of William, resident since the 1990s. I'd like to start off by making sure it's apparent that when I come up to speak, I don't speak to the individuals up here. I speak to the positions of power and authority you guys sit in. It doesn't matter who sits in your seats, I will be speaking to whoever sits in that point. So I'll make that very clear. My comments for tonight are going to be based off the rules for these, but not for me. In my hand, I have 2 ordinances. I have Ordinance 261041, which is an additional 0.1% sales tax and use tax for criminal justice proposals. Very interestingly written. It's an interesting read compared to a lot of the other ones we've had here. And the other one I have is Ordinance 24217, establishing a policy, a percentage for public arts funding. 2 ordinances. Both have the power of local law. One will be required to be enforced by the government. The other one, the government has not done for 30 years. I found out in the FEDRAC meeting just recently that the parks complaints that have been going on for years now have been accurate. In this ordinance 24217, it states that any construction or remodel over 25 should have 2% assigned to an arts and public place fund. For 30 years, that has not been followed by any council. So my question for council is, what is the amount that the Arts and Public Places Fund has been denied because of that not being followed? And my second question is, what is the punitive action for not following ordinances? What happens to me if I don't pay my sales tax? What happens if me as a business owner, I don't collect that sales tax and pay it? What happens to you as a city when you don't follow your own ordinance? I'll find out in FEDRAC, because you guys are supposed to be speaking to this. So I'm curious to know what's up with that, and what is the punitive actions when one side of the fence doesn't follow an ordinance, but the other one is required to? And for my last comments, I have comments, not comments, yeah, I do have a comment. On consent agenda, item number K, vehicles for the parks. I find it interesting after we moved $8 million over from ARPA to the general fund, and then we spent another $900,000 in January on vehicles, that somehow these vehicles for the parks couldn't get in there. Instead, we're having to raise a fund for it. Doesn't look good. Good night.
All right, thanks, Paul. All right, Betty Taylor. And then Harold Booker.
Good evening. My name is Betty Taylor. When you have a medical emergency, you call 911, and they send out a medic to your home to assess the situation, to try to figure out why you called them in the first place. Well, on April 3rd, I had a medical emergency at my home, and I called 911. They came to my home, and they basically were asking me a bunch of questions about, basically what was going on. And I proceeded to tell them. And so, but then I couldn't really talk, really, because I couldn't breathe. So I just couldn't breathe. So, one of the medics said, we'll take a deep breath, count to 10, breathe slow. I couldn't even do that. Another medic was in my kitchen. And in my kitchen, I had a medicine bottle on the counter. Well, I seen the medic guy. He picked up the medicine, and then he put it back down, and then he said, this is what he said. He said, Betty, he said, you need to ask your doctor to put you on anxiety pills. I really thought that was totally out of line. So time went on, and so went into the hallway, and out in the hallway, one of the medics said, you're going to be home within 2 hours. So you'll be back home in 2 hours. I get to the hospital, come to find out I had pneumonia. I couldn't breathe because I had pneumonia. I felt that somebody making a statement about your doctor needs to give you anxiety medication, that's totally out of protocol. I don't think that's within their training. I called 911 after I got home, and I asked to speak to somebody in Superior because I needed to address what happened in my home. So I did, and as I told my story to the person he was somebody in high authority, I told my story to him. He said, you know what, this is not our training. This is not what we do. And I said, I didn't think so. So then the guy said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk to the medics that came to see you. I'm going to make sure they know that was not their job to do that, because we don't train like that. So anyway, I asked him, I said, when you do that, can you call me back? So the guy did that. He called me back. And then he said he straightened out everything. And he talked to the medics. So anyway, I just felt that was really disrespectful, but I'm so glad I was able to call and speak about what happened to me and have somebody address it. So that's all.
Thank you, Betty. It's good to see you again. Glad to see you're on the mend. All right, Harold Booker.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Council President Honda. My name's Harold Booker. I'm a resident of Federal Way for 63 years, and yes, I've known Lynn for a long time. I am here to speak a little bit tonight. Again, many of the folks who come to provide public comment, they come to talk about a what? They have a topic, a subject, a something that they are interested in sharing. and sharing their thoughts and their opinions and trying to get the city's attention. I want to talk to you about the how, because on that dais, you have a lot of pressures. You have a lot of folks, people, citizens, committees, commissions, the city staff that are all looking for your attention and your time. And that's wonderful. But what's important to me is the how. Because we have a representative government, and we expect you guys to make a lot of decisions that we don't necessarily need to know the details of. But I care about the how you work as a committee, as a council, as a team. Do you respect each other? Do you work hand in hand with each other? Do you ensure that all of the council members have an equal level of information so they can represent us? Because if we are just making sure that we've dotted the i's and crossed the t's, that we are legal on a controversial subject, that is a really low bar. I anticipate, of course you're legal. That's a low hurdle to cross. That hurdle doesn't inspire people. Now, a high hurdle would be working collaboratively together, having collaborative discussions, clean and honest debates, and then making a decision. That's a great way to go. But if our bar, Mr. Mayor, is when it's a controversy, I just have to make sure we dotted the i's and crossed the t's, that's the low hurdle. I want you guys to aim for the high hurdle, to work together smoothly, have that debate, and then make a decision and move on. It's okay. Sometimes I'm going to be on the wrong side of the what, and sometimes I'm on the right side of the what. That's all right, as long as the process builds a culture for our city of collaborating, working together in a dignified fashion. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes public comment. Thank you so much for those that provided comment. All right, now moving on to consent agenda. These items have gone through committee and can be passed all at once or approved all at once. But after I read each of the items, I'll ask if council members would want to pull an item for separate consideration. All right, item A, approve the minutes for the April 4th, 2026 City Council Special Meeting, the retreat. Item B, approve the minutes for the April 7th, 2026 City Council Special and Regular Meetings. Item C, request for additional contract authorization, 21st Avenue at South 320th Street Signal and Pedestrian Improvements. Item D, authorize bid award and fund transfer for the South 320th Street Preservation Project. Item E, resolution for the partially assigning the Zipley Fiber Pacific LLC franchise to NFC Northwest LLC. Item F, authorize Officer Wellness Grant Application 2026 through 2027. Item G, approve the interlocal agreement, City of Federal Way and the Federal Way School District for 2025 through 2026 school resource officers. Item H, King County Youth and Amateur Sports Grant Acceptance, Summer Experiences and Enrichment for Youth. Item I, acceptance for the Brook Lake Master Plan. Item J, approve amendments to Security Services Contract. Item K, approve funding allocations for parks vehicles. And item L, the authorize expand fleet, purchase stage trailer, and allocate King County levy funds. All right, council, is there a motion to pull any of these items? Councilmember Seffa Dawson?
Yeah, I'd like to pull item A.
A? All right. A. All right, council, any other items to be pulled? All right, Council President Honda?
Yes, I move approval of the consent agenda items B through L.
Second.
Been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matters passed unanimously. Item A, Councilmember Seffa Dawson.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for that retreat. I found it to be very insightful, very useful and helpful, and I think it's taken us to a level that we're going to be more cohesive and work together very collectively. And I also liked the fact that we worked on our on the core competencies, primary challenges, and guiding principles. And hopefully those would be posted somewhere where we can all see them visually. But just wanted to say thank you for that moment and time together. And hopefully we'll do this on a regular basis where we're not talking about work, we're just talking about our relationship and how to build that cohesive working together, at least for the next 2 years while we're all here at this here. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Moore?
Thank you. In response to my colleague, Councilmember Safadatsan, I think having another retreat, I think was requested at least by 2 or 3 people. I'm not really sure. And I know that Council President has asked for more ideas on that and what to be covered in that. So I'm hoping, I say that to say that I hope that we will have one potentially in the summertime. So it's just a suggestion, so.
All right, thank you. All right, Council President Honda, do you have a motion?
I move approval of item A from the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. Now we are on to item 6, public hearing. Item A, public hearing for the 2025 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, otherwise known as the CAPER. Angelina Allen Pisi, Community Services Manager.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Honda, and council members. Angelina Allen Pisi, Community Development Manager. Sorry.
And actually, at this time, I'll open the public hearing on this item.
Okay, sorry about that. Should the City Council approve the 2025 Program Year Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, known as the CAPER? So just to give a quick background, I know this was discussed at the April 7th first public hearing. The Community Development Block Grant Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or CAPER, is an annual report required by HUD that details how the city used its Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, and other grants to meet housing and community development needs. It reports on progress that was achieved towards goals set in the approved annual action plan. So how the funds were allocated last year. We focused on 3 different areas: economic development, which you can see in the chart, homeless prevention, and suitable living environments. Unfortunately, for affordable housing, that wasn't an area that the organizations that receive CDBG funds had a primary focus. Total expended was around $671,000, and residents served were 609 unduplicated residents here in Federal Way. So the timeline, you've seen this, but I wanted to sort of reiterate where we are. On April 7th, we had the first public hearing. We're going through the second public hearing today. To date, we have not received any public comments, and then the CAPER is due by HUD on May 1st. So the options that are before you is to approve the 2025 program year CAPER, or do not approve it and then provide direction to staff. The mayor's recommendation is option 1. And I will stop there if there are questions.
Thank you. Council, any questions? All right. Great job, Angelina. Thank you so much for the work you do. Okay, let's see here. Councilmember Sessoms, do you have a motion?
I do. I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. All right. Item B, Angelina, you're here for this one as well?
Back again.
This is the public hearing on Amendment Number 4, 2019 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Annual Action Plan. I will now open the public hearing, and you're free to, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the policy question is, should City Council approve the Fourth Amendment to the 2019
Angelina, can I go back?
Sure.
Was there, I want to make sure the record's clear, was there anybody who signed up for public hearing on the last item?
No, there was not.
Okay, I want to make sure the record's clear on that. All right, sorry, Angelina.
No worries. Okay, let me see if I can go back to the. Okay. Should City Council approve the First Amendment to the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan? I see that. Apologies again. So the proposed allocation, that wasn't me. Okay. All right. I'll start over. So I've said the policy question. I'm not sure what's happening with the clicker.
Says we're done.
These clickers. Let me read this again. I apologize. Should City Council approve the Fourth Amendment to the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan? So again, what is the CDBG Annual Action Plan? It is required yearly. It's a document that is submitted by the city to HUD that outlines how we spend CDBG funds. It details specific projects, activities, and resources to meet local affordable housing and community development needs for the upcoming year. So we are looking at a Fourth Amendment to the 2019 Annual Action Plan. We are proposing, we have $258,559.25 in CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grant, Coronavirus CARES Act currently that was unallocated. These are monies that we would like to use to fund the purchase of a temporary barricades or bollards, trailers, and related equipment for the 316th Street Festival street conversion. Funds must be spent in 2 months, June 26, or they're subject to recapture by U.S. Department of Treasury. We had a public hearing. That public comment period ended on April 11th. There was a public hearing on April 7th. The second public hearing is tonight, and also a council decision afterwards. To date, again, we have not received no comments. So the recommendation is either to approve the proposed Fourth Amendment to the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan, or do not approve it and provide staff direction. And the mayor's recommendation is option 1. And I'll stop there if there are questions.
Council, any questions?
I do.
What was there?
I have a
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your light.
That's okay.
Council President Honda?
Thank you. So this was money from the COVID era,
Correct.
in which we were trying to provide money for people to survive, to eat, and to stay in their homes, to drive their cars. Why wasn't this money spent during that time? And why have we been holding on to it for all these years?
It's a very good question, and unfortunately, I wasn't here when this occurred.
True.
So I learned about it when I first rejoined the city last year in June. Plus, there was a lot of turnover with HUD in terms of understanding where we had funding with HUD for coronavirus funds. And so when we learned about it, I learned about it last year. I thought that we had 7 years to spend the funding, but then I was told earlier this year we only had 6 years, and that 6-year time was going to time out in June of 26 of this year.
So this is going to purchase temporary removable barricades, 2 trailers, and equipment necessary for their transport, placement, and removal and support of the conversion of South 316th Street to a festival street. Can you tell me how that benefits those that are low and moderate income in that area?
So it's still, when we think of coronavirus during that period of time, we're looking at ensuring that there is space for people to be able to go to markets or if they wanted to eat outside. And so this is creating a safe space for people to be able to go to for food, to be able to go to the market and be able to purchase goods, purchase produce without having to worry about, airborne diseases and that kind of thing because they're outside. And where this area is at, it's in a low, moderate income area benefit, so it also qualifies under HUD's eligibility guidelines.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do we have any public comment on this? Okay, no public comment. Great job again, Angelina. And let's see here. Let's see, Councilmember Sessoms, do you have a motion?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second?
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. Great job. All right, now, boy, you got a lot of these tonight. Okay, item C, public hearing on Amendment Number 1, 2024 Community Block Grant CDBG Annual Action Plan. All right, Angelina, the floor is yours.
Okay.
But before you, I'm sorry, I got to do something real quick. I need to open the public hearing, and at that point, now please proceed.
Thank you. So should City Council approve the First Amendment to the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan? Again, as I'll reiterate, a CDBG Annual Action Plan, it's a yearly document that's required by HUD and in terms of outlining how the city will spend its CDBG funds. It details specific projects, activities, and resources to meet local affordable housing and community development needs for the upcoming year. So this is the First Amendment, and we are proposing to allocate about $196,720 in unallocated 2024 CDBG funds to a new activity, which would be in support of the Downtown Civic Plaza, the temporary project. This is to help also combine with the $850,000 that City has received in congressional appropriation. It wasn't included in the original adopted plan. And HUD requires that a substantial amendment with public notice and comment. Again, there was a public comment period that ended April 11th. There was the first public hearing that was held on April 7th. This is the second public hearing and council decision tonight. And again, to date, we have not received any public comments.
All right.
So I'm sorry, Mayor Farrell, I was just going to say the options before you again is to approve the proposed First Amendment to the 2024 Community Development Annual Action Plan, or do not approve, and then provide staff direction, and the mayor's recommendation is option 1.
All right, thank you. All right, council, any questions? All right. Heather, do we have any public comment? Okay, that answer was no. All right, Councilmember Sessoms.
I move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, otherwise we're going to keep going. There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in
Yeah.
favor? I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking. From item B and C, I think, the two public hearings that we just heard, it seems like we do hold on to funds that, CDBG funds that are allocated for our cities, and then we use them somehow. That still benefits the population that we're supposed to benefit, but sometimes not in such a meaningful way. It's a rush work or whatever, and not blaming, hopefully, but, it's, when we look at CDBG funds, it's like to eliminate slum and blight, serve low-income population, around housing, all these different, categories. And so if we're mindful and did it, allocated those funds in a timely manner and appropriately, I think they would go or have gone to something where it really serves the population it's supposed to serve directly. And so it's just something I think we should in the future plan accordingly and think about it rather than holding on to these funds, because I know had we known and followed the timeline, we could have done something different with it. And to your question also, Council President, rather than it being used for stuff that I know there's going to be a great use for this, and we're probably going to be happy we have it, but yet I think we could have done better. And so it's just something I would like to put out there and caution. So. And I know it's.
And if I,
okay to do.
if I can just address the council member's comment, then City Attorney, if you have another comment, please join in. So we plan to bring an informational item to the next Parks Rec Human Services Committee meeting to discuss this exact topic of timeliness and how to spend the CDBG monies in a thoughtful and more purposeful way, as opposed to what we've been doing, which has been cleaning out the back closet, basically, which is what these last two have been more like, is spending them before we have to give them back potentially to the federal government. So we plan to come forward and start a conversation with the city council about being a little bit more thoughtful moving forward with kind of a portion of the CDBG funds. So that's coming to the next Parks Rec Human Services Public Safety Committee.
Thank you.
Brian, did you have anything? Ryan?
My recollection was that we had a plan to use these funds, and there was a fire, and we were unable to execute them in the time frame required by HUD, and so we had to replan. So it wasn't for lack of foresight, it was maybe a lack of contingency planning, but the intent was not to just not spend them. There was a plan.
Did you say fire?
Could you,
Fire.
Fire?
I believe it was, originally it was going to go to housing, and I believe there was a fire that prevented us from implementing the funds how we wanted to. So we should look into that more, but we certainly had plans. This is our third or fourth, I think, attempt on this.
Okay.
So.
No, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, Councilmember Moore?
Yeah, I would say that I appreciate Councilmember Safadoson's comments. I know she has a lot of experience in this field of human services and CBDG funds as well. I think the only thing I would maybe consider is that area where we want to kind of redevelop a little bit has been blighted quite a bit for a long, long, long time. And I think it is, for this situation, I think it is a good use of funds to be used on that area, because it's going to bring a lot of life, a lot more life, and synergy into that immediate area. So just something that kind of came up to my mind as you were speaking, with all due respect.
Well, it does take care of the slum and blight, so.
Okay.
We're still within the objective.
All right, is there any more discussion?
I have a question.
Oh, Council President?
So, thank you. So, when this was originally discussed a few weeks ago, I brought up that people are still hungry, by maybe using some of the funding to help feed people or pay their rent, but have we ever returned any CDBG funds or any other grant funds that we weren't able to use?
Not to my understanding.
Keith?
Not that I'm aware of either.
Okay, that's good news.
Yeah.
Don't want to do that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I very much appreciate Councilmember Sefadoson's point. I think we don't ever want to give money back to the federal government. We want to spend it, and we want to spend it, in a timely manner. But I do know that our farmers market is someplace where people line up sometimes early in the morning for food vouchers. And so I think it is meeting a need to feed people. And also, the farmers market is unique because one of the objectives and the outcomes of the plan here is expand economic opportunities, increase local opportunities, and create jobs. And I know the farmers market does that as well. It's sort of a small business incubator. And so I do feel comfortable with where the money is going. Do I wish it was spent a little sooner so we weren't rushing? Yes, but I'm very comfortable with how it's being spent right now. That's all. Thank you.
All right. We've had a couple of council members that need to leave the dais. So why don't we take, and we've been at this now for several hours. Why don't we have a brief recess, like 5, 7 minutes?
We have a pending motion on the floor. Could we vote on that first?
Well, we've got 2 members that are out.
It's just to close the public hearing.
Okay.
It's generally considered inappropriate to take a recess with a motion on the floor.
Okay. All right. There's been a motion, a second, and discussion. All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. It passes unanimously. Thank you, Angelina. Okay. Why don't we take a 7-minute break, and we'll reconvene at 8:36. All right, I'll call the meeting back to order. We are now on item 6D, public hearing for vacation of a portion of 16th Avenue South. I'll now open the public hearing. We're going to hear from Leonard Spadoni, Senior Engineering Plans Reviewer. Sorry, Leonard, I thought the senior related to you as opposed to, anyway, Leonard Spadoni, our Senior Engineering Plans Reviewer. Leonard?
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President, council members. The policy question before us tonight is the proposed street vacation of a portion of 16th Avenue South. As you see before you, we have the Exhibit B is the bolded area on 16th Avenue, and the aerial photo right next to it is what it is currently used as, a parking area and bus turnaround. Background. The subject public right-of-way, 16th Avenue South, is located between South 304th Street and South 305th Place, adjacent to Pacific Highway South. The public right-of-way has historically been and is currently used as a parking lot and bus turnaround at the Federal Way High School. The area of public right-of-way in question is approximately 375 lineal feet long, or 19,317 square feet. The proposed street vacation serves the public through ensuring the legal right for Federal Way School District and Federal Way High School to continue to maintain and use this area for the school bus turnaround and for visitor parking. This will benefit the students, the school families, the general Federal Way community by facilitating additional access to Memorial Field. By acquiring the property, Federal Way School District will assume all rights, obligations, and liability associated with upkeep, maintenance, and use. The district will take several measures to deter cross-through traffic from the Jiffy Lube property by installing one-way or do not enter signs, but the district will not block or gate the access. Federal Way School District will purchase the right-of-way from the City of Federal Way for $347,706 for the area of 19,317 square feet. The valuation is based on a third-party appraisal dated July 1st, 2024. Based on city code and state law, half of the revenue received by the city as compensation for the area vacated must be dedicated to the acquisition, improvement, development, and related maintenance of public open space or transportation capital projects, and the remainder will go into the street operation fund. The Federal Way School District will allow off-hour parking to the public in the vacated area parking lot. The parking area will also continue to be additional public parking for stadium events. The bus turnaround will be open and available for public use to provide a turnaround at the southern end of 16th Avenue South. The proposed vacation will not interfere with future development or access to other adjacent properties. As again, you see the Exhibit B, it is the lower portion of the exhibit in the Bolden area as it ends on where 16th Avenue has dead end. And again, the aerial photo showing the current use. Questions?
Council, any questions? Council President?
Thank you. What could the funding that we get be used for again?
It can be used for open space, for maintenance, acquisition. It can be used also for transportation, capital projects for half of the revenue. The other half will go into the general maintenance fund for the public works.
And what is the total again?
$347,307.
And it can be used to purchase open space?
It can be used for purchase open space, half of it. Half of it will be divided equally between a open space potential or then also into the public maintenance fund.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Council, any other questions? All right, great job, Leonard, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment? Okay. Okay, and Councilmember Walsh, do you have a motion?
Yes. I move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing's now closed. All right, item 7, council business. You may recognize some of these items. We just had gone through them. So, item A, approve the 2025 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER. This was the item you presented previously.
That's
And-
correct.
And Angeline, do you have anything to add?
I do not. I'm just here if there are additional questions.
Very good. Okay, council, any other questions? All right, let's see, Councilmember Sessoms, do you have a motion?
I do. I move approval of the proposed 2025 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report.
Second?
It's been a motion, a second, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Item B, approve the amendment for number 4, 2019 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Annual Action Plan. Councilmember Sessoms, do you have a motion?
I do. I move approval of the proposed Fourth Amendment to the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Item C, approve amendment number 1, 2024 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Annual Action Plan. Councilmember Sessoms?
I move approval of the proposed First Amendment to the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan.
Second?
It's been a motion, a second, is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Great job, Angelina, thank you very much. Why don't you take the rest of the day off? All right. That always works, all right. Exactly, all right. Okay, now, item D, approve letter of support, Tacoma Dome Link Extension. Brian Davis, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. In your packet is a draft letter that I believe all of you have had a chance to look at. We got review back from the mayor and council president who gave their approval and sent it to you, and now we just need to take formal action. For the benefit of the public, this is a letter written to the Sound Transit Board that expresses support for the Tacoma Dome Link Extension Light Rail project. I reached out to my counterpart in the city of Tacoma. He was very encouraged that the council requested that this be an action item, so they're very appreciative of our support for Tacoma and the connection that this light rail route would make from Federal Way to Tacoma. So the letter, in summary, highlights the strong relationship that we have with Sound Transit, the benefit that we have had from having 2 light rail stations open up, one at downtown, the other at Star Lake, which is just outside of the city, but largely affects the city as well. And as well as the OMF South project that we are currently working on, located on 336, just east of Pack Highway. So it emphasizes the relationship that we have with Sound Transit, which is a good one, and encourage Sound Transit to recognize the value in the Tacoma Dome Link Extension project as they face present and future financing issues with many of their projects. And so they're discussing and prioritizing which projects to scale back. And so this letter reaffirms the importance of the TDLE project and not to have it go away.
All right. Brian and Heather, is this letter, if anybody wanted to take a look at it for transparency purposes or just for curiosity, is it available online in the packet?
It's in the packet.
Okay, very good. Just in case anybody would like to take a look at the exact language, or you could contact anyone of my office and get a copy of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions of Brian? All right. Councilmember Moore?
No, I think the only comment I have, Mayor, is it was a good letter, a solid letter. And I would just ask for some thought to be given to maybe put it online, meaning just that letter on Facebook saying that here's what we've done, because I think it's a pretty big issue, and I want to let people know about it. So, I don't know. I'll let you guys think about that, but
Okay.
it's something I would highly recommend.
All right, Ben, let's talk about that, about maybe putting a post out. Okay, thank you very much. All right, Council President Honda, do you have a motion?
Yes, I move to approve the letter of support for the Tacoma Dome link extension.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you, Brian. Item E, the 2025-2027 collective bargaining agreement with the Teamsters Local Union Number 117, representing police commanders. Julianne?
Hi, good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Honda, and council members. Some background information. The commander rank is the senior leadership rank below deputy chief in the police department. We currently have 5 commanders. The police commanders are organized as a union and represented by Teamsters number 117. The city is represented by HR, law, a deputy chief, and a contracted labor attorney. The city's negotiation team meets periodically with council in executive session to get authority and guidance during the negotiation process. The Teamsters and city management have reached a tentative agreement contingent on city council ratification. The Teamsters have already voted on and approved the proposed contract. Changes in this contract, there's a lot of cleanup of language and grammar throughout that isn't substantive. It increases wages for 2025 with a 3.5% COLA, an increase for 2026 of a 3.5% COLA, and a wage reopener for 2027. It adds a VEBA contribution from the city of $500 per year. It increases executive leave from 20 hours to 30 hours per year and allows commanders to cash out the value of up to 30 of these hours each year. And it does carry over up to 60 hours from year to year. It increases the uniform allowance to $300 for all commanders, except CIS and admin commanders, which continue to receive a $600 clothing allowance. And it increases the cap on sick leave cash out to 30% or 324 hours maximum for commanders who have 30 or more years of service with the City of Federal Way. And lastly, we've expanded the use of police vehicles for personal use to include whoever is assigned as the command duty officer. The cost to the city to implement the contract is estimated to be $1.34 million for 2025 and $1.39 million in 2026. This is an increase of $62,000 in 2025 over the previous contract and a $114,000 increase for 2026. Additionally, there will be an increase of $114,000 for 2027 plus whatever COLA is negotiated for 2027. The mayor recommends approval of the proposed contract with Teamsters Local Union Number 117 representing police commanders.
All right, thank you, Julianne. Any questions? All right, Council President Honda?
I move approval of the proposed contract.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you again. Item 8, ordinances. Item 8A, first reading, Council Bill 930, ordinance, repeal of local authority over Class 4 forest practice applications. First, we'll have a report from Holly Bozak, our planning manager. And have we received any public comment on this? All right, thank you. Holly?
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, and council members. Some of you may be having some deja vu. However, I'm up here tonight to present to you for the second first reading of the repeal of forest practices rather than the lovely Caitlin. As some of you may remember, we brought this to you for a number of reasons I'll get into later, but first let me say the policy question this evening is, should the City Council approve code amendments to return permit review of forest practices back to the state, specifically the DNR. And the background on, sorry for that, there is our policy question for you. And the background information, just to remind you all, is that community development staff recommended returning permit review to the state to free up a little bit more staff time for us locally, especially with all of the bills that have come from the legislature that have impacted permit review timelines and set permit review timelines for us. Master Builders requested that this be reconsidered in January. It was then kicked back to LUTC, and that presentation happened last month. Following conversations with Master Builders, they have since decided that they are in support of the repeal, and the local staff has started working on a process for early clearing grade, which was kind of the middle ground in meeting Master Builders. So the proposed amendments are consistent with the applicable provisions of the comprehensive plan, bear a substantial relationship to public health, safety, and welfare, and are in the best interest of the city. Your options are adopt the proposed ordinance for amendments to Title 19 for the repeal of forest practices, or do not adopt. Mayor's recommendation is to approve the proposed ordinance.
Council, any questions? All right. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title? And great job, Holly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Bill 930, ordinance repeal of local authority over Class 4 forest practice applications. An ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to Class 4 general forest practice applications, amending Federal Way Revised Code 19-120-010 and 19-120-020, and repealing Federal Way Revised Code as described in the written title.
All right. Councilmember Walsh?
I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the May 5, 2026 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. Before we vote, Councilmember Hamilton.
Yes, I just wanted to thank again the staff in community development, and thank you, Holly, for your presentation. Since I was the one who kicked it back, I feel like I need to thank our staff for giving us the time to, none of us are experts in building homes, and we received feedback from master builders almost immediately, but not only master builders, but several individual builders had sent us emails. And so I think that we come up with the best policy when all voices are at the table, and I think that's exactly what happened. And so I think we're coming up with a good policy, and I feel very comfortable voting for this now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walsh?
All right. Yeah, I mean, we had great discussions with the master builders and a great meeting with them, and they met with the mayor as well. And so I think that this has had a great outcome in the end.
Councilmember Sessoms?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
All right, thank you. All right, there's been a motion, a second, and discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, on to second reading. Thank you again, Holly.
Thank you.
All right. All right, now moving on to 8B, first reading, Council Bill 935, our ordinance, conditional approval to vacate a portion of 16th Avenue South. Leonard, anything to add from your report?
No, not at all. I just was, in case someone had questions.
Very good, thank you. Okay, and did we, and again, there was no public comment on this. All right, would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 935, ordinance conditional approval to vacate a portion of 16th Avenue South. An ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to conditional approval of a street vacation for a portion of 16th Avenue South to Federal Way Public Schools.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walsh?
I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the May 19, 2026 council meeting for second reading and enactment.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the matter passes unanimously. Thank you, Leonard. Item C, first reading, Council Bill 936, ordinance, approval of massage parlor, massage business ordinance. First, we'll have a presentation from Assistant City Attorney Adam Gadberry. And is there any public comment that's been submitted for this? Okay, Adam?
Okay, good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Honda, and council members. Tonight is before you, should the council enact a new massage business ordinance? The purpose of the ordinance is to add a new chapter 12.65 to the Federal Way Revised Code in order to provide the police with additional tools to investigate and prosecute illicit massage businesses, prostitution, money laundering, and human trafficking schemes, while also protecting legitimate business owners, massage practitioners, and the general public who utilize these services. So as a reminder from when we discussed this at the Parks Committee, what does the ordinance require? It will mirror state law requiring massage therapists to be properly licensed by the Washington Department of Health. It will require owners and managers to ensure that their employees are properly licensed by the state and that they're not presenting invalid or fraudulently licensed credentials. It requires that those valid licenses to be conspicuously displayed for easy verification by both police and the public. It prohibits internal warning systems. It regulates the hours of operations to be between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. It prohibits the locking of front doors during business hours, and it prohibits cash transactions. So the options are forward the proposed ordinance to the May 5th, 2026 council meeting for its second reading and adoption, or do not forward the proposed ordinance and provide direction to staff. The mayor's recommendation is option 1. And with that, I will answer any questions or have discussion.
All right. Councilmember Kochmar?
No, I'm just glad we're finally addressing this issue. I've been worried about it for a long time, as I know many of my colleagues have, as far as human trafficking and illegal operation. And, some of these women, they're trapped. And not just women, it's children. So it's been a big worry, and I'm glad we're finally addressing it.
Me too. Thank you. Councilmember Hamilton?
Yeah, thank you, Adam, for your report and your work on this, and Mayor, your work on this. I really appreciate this. There's been a lot of news stories about this topic, even in the last couple of days, about what cities are doing with massage parlors. And I just want to be very clear that our city is taking this action to address human trafficking and victims of human trafficking. These are victims, and they are trapped in a very bad situation. And this is one way that we can address helping those victims. And as Councilmember Kochmar said, sometimes these victims are underage minors, so it's also exploitation of minors. And also, as our city attorney said, protects the public from rogue actors, because massage is a form of healthcare, and if they don't have a license and they're not real healthcare providers, it protects the public in that way. So I just wanted to make that comment, and just know that your city council is working to address human trafficking, and that's why we're voting on this.
All right, thank you. Council President Honda?
Thank you. When we discussed this at the council committee meeting, I asked or made a couple of suggestions as to how to inform the businesses that we have this new ordinance. Has there been any discussion about how businesses will be informed that this now exists?
Typically, the city is not required to hand deliver or advertise, other than what we're doing in the paper, required by law to advertise the ordinances. I'll defer to the mayor's office on how much you want to do on communication. I would counsel against doing too much, because it can set a precedent where we're having to actively message to every single business when we have little changes here or there, and I think that may set a poor precedent. I think there's been articles in the paper recently. This is advertised already in the paper. I think the businesses themselves are probably, hopefully, savvy enough to be monitoring this on their own.
Well, let's get Chief. When enforcement action is taken, can you tell us a little bit about, there are probably likely some of these locations you're concerned about. Would some of our officers go in and let them know about this prior to any kind of enforcement?
Absolutely. When we make contact with the businesses, we'll educate them on the ordinance and the laws pertaining to massage business.
Okay. Is that like part of the Special Operations Unit or the PROACT units, or what, who engages in these types of investigations?
Special Investigations Unit. They're part of, they're assigned to the Criminal Investigations Section.
Okay.
And we've had several undercover operations and have made arrests pertaining to these types of businesses in the past year or so. This ordinance will definitely enhance public safety in Federal Way. And it won't take long for these businesses who are involved in illegal activity for them to know that there's an ordinance now, and then we will be enforcing it, and we will make our community safer through this ordinance. So we want to thank you for this. When this ordinance goes through, it'll give more teeth to our investigators to regulate and manage these type of businesses in our community.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Council President. All right, any other questions? Oh, Councilmember Moore.
Thank you so much. Chief, you just took the words out of my mouth there, so thank you. I have to say, and thank you to my colleagues for your comments. I think they're spot on, obviously. This is definitely a step in the right direction, and I think, forgive me for repeating some of the words that has been stated, but, I know that we've all driven around Federal Way, and you kind of, you hope that it's not happening as you're driving past those businesses. But the reality is that, wherever in Washington State, it may be happening with those type of businesses and others, quite frankly. So this ordinance is absolute in the right step in the right direction. And I think, just like Chief just alluded, or just said, and that's, our officers need tools, not just financial tools and equipment, but also legal tools to be able to do their job. And so I'm thankful for the work that our PD department will be doing to make sure that this is not happening in Federal Way, and that we have true businesses, and that we're holding accountable the ones that are not businesses. And so I do think that I'm hoping that we're going to be monitoring this and seeing how it goes, and I hope that we'll go back to the drawing board and if need be, strengthen this ordinance, because I wonder if there's more work to be done with this in the future, because I don't want to I just want to make sure that Federal Way is not a place for anything like human trafficking or anything that's unethical to take place. With that, thank you to all those that have been part of this effort.
Councilmember Hamilton.
Yeah, just made me think of a question, probably for the chief. Do we have victim services for people who are rescued out of these situations where we can connect them to services?
Yeah, I don't particularly know the organization that would assist victims of human trafficking, but it will be something we'll definitely, look into and see what we can do to assist them.
Okay, I think that would be very important. Otherwise, they just go right back into it.
It seems like maybe CASARC would be in the cases that I had with regard to this.
Yeah, I think there's a house in Des Moines. Of course, it's just, I think Representative Tina Orwell was involved with that, with rehabilitating people who have been trapped in that kind of a situation. But I'm not sure, but I think CASARC would be a good place to start.
Councilmember Hamilton, you want to tell people about CASARC? Okay. CASARC, King County Sexual Assault Resource Center, when cases like this get filed, if there's anybody that's on that, that's working there that's been victimized, it's the common practice at the King County Prosecutor's Office to work hand in hand with the King County Sexual Assault Resource Center, the CASARC. They assign a not a counselor, but a facilitator, an advocate. And those advocates on those cases show up to preliminary cases, interviews, court appearances, and trial. Yeah. And we fund CASARC, yes, with our CDBG funding. Thank you.
Always ask for more.
That's right. That's right. It's a great organization. Okay, any other questions? Oh, Councilmember Walsh?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, we had a representative from the Case Art Board here this morning, or it's been a long evening.
Yeah.
Earlier this evening to
Right.
receive the proclamation.
Yep.
And so I'm very glad that we're having this ordinance. Last year, I discussed something along this line with staff, and I don't know whether they followed my suggestion or one of the other council members or the mayors or whatever, but I'm very glad to see this happening. And so anyway,
Yeah.
excited about it.
Me too. Thank you. Councilmember Sessoms? Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
did you have?
nope,
Okay.
I'm ready to vote.
Councilmember Sessoms, do you have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed ordinance to the May 5, 2026 council meeting for a second reading and enactment.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second, but before we do that, Heather, can you please read the ordinance title?
Yes. Council Bill 936, approval of massage business ordinance, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to massage businesses, adding a new chapter 12.65 Federal Way Revised Code, including sections as detailed in the written title.
All right. There's been a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. On to second reading. Thank you, Adam. Good job. Okay, council reports. It's the second meeting of the month. We'll start with the position number 7, Councilmember Kochmar.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I just want to remind everybody about the town hall meeting. As we've already mentioned, at 6 p.m. at Olympic View Elementary School is a time for you to come and talk. And if you have issues with your neighborhood or with anything else within the city, it's a good time to come talk. We'll have presentations by staff. And I want to say thank you to, I feel like such a baby complaining about this flag. I have it sitting here because it takes down the swelling. I feel like I'm holding a flag in the air. But I just want to say thank you to my colleagues and to the people in the community who have put on my coat, cut my meat, opened the doors, and things that I can't do with only one hand, especially the left hand. So thank you all. 2 weeks, I'm done. I won't complain about it anymore. My 8-year-old granddaughter, tomboy, fell out of a tree, broke her arm, and she was off swimming in a pool with a cast on her arm. I thought she was going to drown. But so I know that as you get older, it's harder to do, but I tell you, when you get older, it hurts. But anyway, thank you to all of you who have been so thoughtful. I sincerely appreciate it, and for all the rides to get me where I needed to go. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Sessoms.
Let's see, participating in the Destination Federal Way, lots of fun there, meeting the different people and hearing the presentations. Participated in the gardening project at Blueberry Farm as part of the Parks Appreciation Day. It's good to see a lot of people out there. Participated in the Vaisakhi 2026 celebration at the Gurmat Center. Learned a lot, very, very much so about the Sikh religion and culture. Looking forward to the Federal Way Little League Baseball Jamboree on Saturday. Looking forward also to the Garifuna Heritage Month celebration at Town Square Park. That's on the 25th. And especially looking forward to the April 30th Federal Way Public Forum.
Very good.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Walsh.
I made most of my comments earlier on. I will second what Councilman Sessoms said about the Vaisakhi celebration of the Sikh community. I mean, just talk about great community members and so welcoming and everything. It's great to have them here in the city. Just on a personal note, at the Parks Appreciation Day, the fire department came later on with their truck, or strung a long hose out there and watered the stuff, and they had the little kids be able to hold the hose, and my little 5-year-old grandson got to hold the hose there for him, and he thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so, and some of the other kids did too. So, I mean, just a great community event. Just a reminder, right around April 25th, 2027 will be the next Parks Appreciation Day. put it on your calendar now.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just give a quick rundown on some of my activities the last couple of weeks. Attended the Diversity Commission meeting earlier in the month, and we have a great group of people working on some great things in the city, particularly the festival coming up. And it was fun. It was here in this room, and it's one of my goals to visit each commission in the first year. So that was one of the first ones that I was able to visit. And then attended the Hot Off the Presses event that the Federal Way Mirror holds at Poverty Bay Cafe. And that was a fun event because they were honoring all of their hometown heroes over the last year. And so there was a lot of great people there who were being honored for doing a lot of good work in the community. Attended Councilmember Pete Von Rightbear's Good Eggs, and that's always a great event where our county council member does a really great job pulling city electeds together to learn about what's going on in the region. And then participated in the Parks Appreciation event, got to see what was going on at all three parks. Thank you so much to our park staff and to Councilmember Jack Walsh. I didn't know the history of the event, and so hearing you talk about the history was really good to hear about. And got my car washed at the Youth Commission Car Wash. Great event, raising funds for the youth and what they're doing. Attended this morning the Storming the Sound, and I named my fish Squirmy. Watched him go down the little tube, and yeah, that was fun. I had never been to that event because I'm not in fourth grade, so but apparently all the fourth graders in the local schools go, and they get to learn about the life cycles of salmon, and so it was a really well-attended event. And then lastly, I found out this week that I will probably not be able to attend the opening day of the farmers market, which kind of bums me out. But the reason why is because that is my daughter's college graduation, and she is graduating from St. Martin's with her bachelor's in communications, and we're going to have a big event honoring her as a family because she is moving on. She was accepted to Gonzaga Law School, so she's going to be gone for good in a couple months here, and so we're going to miss her, so we're going to give her a big send-off. So I hope that the farmers market goes well, and I will attend the following Saturday.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Moore. Oh, and congratulations to your daughter.
Yes.
And go Zags.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, Councilmember Moore.
Well, congratulations to your daughter. I mean, being a graduate from St. Martin's University, it is a special place where you grow a lot, and it's just a great university. And of course, I know you've gone there when it was a college. I must have forgotten that. Interesting. There's something in the air. Anyways, so congratulations to that. Just believe it or not, 4 items on my council report. They each take 10 minutes long, so I'm grateful for my colleagues for, just kidding. But first item is Puget Sound Energy. One of the things I've been hearing quite a bit on social media is people are really worried about the future of their bill. And I'm not sure what role we have. I don't think we have a role.
We do.
Okay.
You want me to explain?
Actually, I yield the floor to you, Mayor.
All right, well, thank you. We have actually been very, very concerned about what has been, PSE has put in a filing with the UTC to increase rates again, which would be a dramatic increase on people's gas and electricity.
Yep.
We, in anticipation of this, earlier this week, we met with our 2 lobbyists to discuss our strategy. The 80% of the increase is based on the legislature has put certain guidelines in regard to clean and green energy, and there are at least 11 different projects that will need to be built in the next several years. As a result, and there was some other infrastructure that's going to be required to be installed, and so PSE, in response to those initiatives and directives by the state legislature, has made a filing with the Utilities Commission to increase rates yet again. So we are working on a legislative and legal strategy. Number one, and most importantly, is we're in the process right now of inviting PSE to come to the council, give a presentation, because I'm concerned not only about the several $100,000s that it's likely going to cost the city in our budget, but more importantly, and most importantly, is the impact it's going to have on the people in our community, and not just the folks on the bubble, everybody. So we're going to ask for PSE to show here and to provide, and we're going to ask a representative of the UTC to be here as well. We're going to be, the State Attorney General's office had previously on another filing at the UTC is objecting to that and had filed and so we're hoping to perhaps get reach out to the Attorney General's office and get them involved. But at this stage, the most important thing is to get this out. And we're at a meeting in the very near future. PSE will be, hopefully, will answer our call and we'll show up here and give a presentation. And then we'll need to talk about strategy moving forward.
Yeah, and Mayor, I sincerely appreciate that, because I know that from us on the dais to the residents here, we're all concerned about this. That's just it's just a fact, and it's good to hear you say that it's not just going to be residents going to be impacted, but it's going to be impacted on our budget.
Yeah.
Especially as we're getting ready to build the budget. So I think there needs to, I hope we can look at all the legalities and all the ways we can do to kind of get the message to them and I hesitate in saying do something, but do something. Because it's, I think a lot's happening and we're putting a lot of pressure on our residents. And for them to do this and keep doing this, there seems to be a injustice to the payers, quite frankly. And I think that's a huge concern. And I also would invite, and maybe you're already thinking about this, but add it to a topic for the April 30th town hall as well. So that way people know that we're on top of it, you're on top of it, we're on top of it, and that it's very much a thought process.
Okay,
Just
good
another, thank you, just another avenue to get the word out. So moving on, just like my colleagues have stated, I also attended the Sikh community gathering, and that was absolutely phenomenal. And the history that was shared with me was both horrific, injustice, and there's good triumphs, moments of goodness in that history. And just want to thank the people that were, I don't know what to call them, my guides, my tour guides, I don't know what to call them.
Yeah, guides.
Guides, okay. So they did a really great job. I'm looking forward to continuing to learn more from our Sikh community and make sure that and I know that we all believe in this, but speaking for myself, I just want to make sure that they know that they're welcomed and they're going to be celebrated and are celebrated. And so we, I'm looking forward to seeing what else I can do to learn and be engaged with them. Next, Decatur High School football coach Matt Vienna was recognized in our Federal Way Mirror on March 27th. I have had the privilege of being his guest teacher several times. If you have not met Matt, he is an incredible leader in our schools. He is one of the most down-to-earth human beings and has done a lot. He served as a coach for Decatur High School for nearly 8 years, and the program was, I'm ashamed to say, not that good. But he is really taking it to a whole new level, which is incredible. And now I'm really excited to have learned that Evan Cook will be taking over as the head coach. Evan is a phenomenal, once again, down-to-earth human being who does a lot with our youth. And so I just wanted to kind of take the moment to congratulate both Matt for his service towards our school and really our city, and Evan. Evan lives right here in Federal Way. And so it's really cool that he was named as the head coach, and look forward to all the good things that he'll do, really to impact our students and for the program there. So wanted to do a little shout out to him. Also, wanted to acknowledge and thank Chair Jack Walsh, Councilmember Walsh. We had a good meeting just last week, and we're going to be taking up a new issue, and I've already been in communication with the mayor's office on this, so it won't be a surprise. I know he loves to be surprised, but we're going to bring up panhandling once again. It's an issue that has it's just not right. And I know that some will disagree with me, and that's okay. But I look forward to seeing what we can do to gather up funding, to pilot some signage or fund the program. So of course, we'll research it in your committee, the Land Use and Transportation Committee. But I'd like to see some signage that says, keep the change, donate to a nonprofit. I think it's really, really important. And so that's an issue that I've once advocated for in my second term in office, and we're going to bring it back up. I know that some of my colleagues have been thinking about it, but it's an issue that I look forward to digging deep and talking more about that. So that's something that I'll be bringing up. And with that, I will end my council report. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Council President, do you have anything more on PSC?
Yes, on PSC. So they had, maybe 2 months ago, they were at the Federal Way Library talking to citizens and offering some rebates and reduced rates for senior citizens. But one of the things that I was talking to their staff about was in Arizona, we have friends in Arizona, and they have to be really careful when they use their power because they have increased rates during the day, especially when families come home between the hours of 4 and 8, their power rates are increased. And PSC is talking about doing that here. So, which would be not a good thing. It's not a good thing for those folks in Arizona that I talked to, and I hope that they don't do that, but perhaps we need to bring that up when we talk with them and the lobbyists.
Can I sneak in a little bit and say something? Thank you. I wonder if that's something we can also add to our legislative agenda for next year.
Oh, it's already on.
There you go. I thought
I've
so.
already told our lobbyist, and so.
And it's just crazy. It shouldn't be happening, and I hope we can do whatever we can to advocate for our residents.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we're going to do that. All right, Councilmember Sefa Dawson.
Yes, thank you. With Puget Sound Energy, actually, I did have a presentation for King County Housing Authority residents who are in my program, and they do have a program actually for people with low income. And so I can share that information with you because they're really doing a huge outreach throughout King County or their service area to help people. And a lot of people who signed up are getting huge discount all the way to zero. And if they owe, if they have past dues, actually that could be eliminated 100%, and then they'll get service. So that happens. And then to your point also, during that presentation, they talked about hours where you could do laundry, where it's cheaper, where you could actually use your power. And so I can share that information, send it to you, Mayor, or Amy, for it to be shared with other council members so we could get the word out. So, yeah, thank you for bringing it up. So they're doing something for a population that otherwise cannot afford it, but more needs to be done because I've noticed my bill is really huge. So, and if it's going to increase, then it's going to be very challenging. And then, of course, Martin, you and I have had this conversation around panhandling, and I know in the past when it came up, we were told that it's their First Amendment speech, right?
Yep.
So I do have a concern, but barring that, I also have a concern that we're making a lot of assumptions when we say donate to a nonprofit. first of all, I don't see it as much anymore. Maybe I'm not in the right area. But at the same time, I think that's something that I do not support, and I've shared that with you in the past. So I guess it's up for discussion, and we'll talk about it more. But I think we're making a lot of assumptions when we make this kind of proposition and not even talking to the nonprofits who may or may not serve the population that you're trying to serve in a different way. So, and I have no report. A lot of the things that were addressed here and brought up, I attended the ones I could, and the ones I can't due to work, I wasn't there. But I'm glad to be here with all of you, and thank you for representing us very well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Council President.
Thank you. So thank you to everyone who went to the car wash on Saturday. The Youth Commission made over $600. It was $10 a car, so that's a lot of cars that they washed. Once again, the Senior Health Fair is May 12th from 10 to 1. That's a Tuesday at the Performing Arts and Event Center. Excuse me, and we hope to see everyone there. I'd encourage people to support their local school events. The Federal Way High School Drama Department is doing The Sound of Music. The opening night is May 8th. I've been looking forward to that all year because that's my favorite movie. I don't really watch movies, but I love that movie. And so I've been looking forward to that one all year, and I know that other high schools are also doing musicals this year, so support your high schools. The Federal Way Kiwanis is celebrating their 70th annual Salmon Bake this year, July 24th, the fourth Friday. There are 5 Fridays in July, so if you think it's the last Friday, you're wrong. It's always the fourth Friday. So July 24th from 4 to 8 at Still Lake Park. Tickets are going on sale soon. And thank you to the community who stayed on for the whole meeting. That's awesome. We appreciate that.
All right. Well, great job. Thank you to my colleagues up here on the dais. Thank you. Great meeting. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to the public for which we serve. We are adjourned.